One of the number one questions people ask me is, what's my purpose in life? And what I
Mm.
tell them is, you already know. Your soul knows what your purpose. It knows what your past, what your purpose. And you know it. You just want someone else to say, that's right. But you already know it. It needs to come from you. What makes you passionate about something? Your purpose in life is not going to be, digging ditches, okay, in the jungle. And you're not going to like that. I promise you. You get bug bites, everything. So that's not it. But you will know what it is, what gives you joy. And that's your purpose for now.
Welcome to Mindset Mastery Moments, the best growth mindset podcast, recognized by Million Podcasts and ranked as a top mindset podcast by FeedSpot. We're proud to be in the top 1% on Listen Notes. Join Dr. Alisa Whyte as we explore powerful insights and strategies to elevate your mindset. Let's dive in.
Let me ask you something. What if the people you lost never actually left? What if your grief isn't the end of the relationship, but the beginning of what I'd like to say a different one? And what if, just hang on, stay with me, don't start judging and going crazy and wonkers in your brain. What if some of the signs you've been brushing off as coincidence were actually communications? Now listen, I know some of y'all are already sad and I'm like, okay, Dr. Alisa, what's this conversation like? Well, we're doing this today. Yes, we are. Because today's guest is not just talking about spirituality, she's bringing evidence, healing, and apparently spirit with some sense of humor. Welcome back to Mindset Master Moments. I'm your host, of course, Dr. Alisa Whyte, your number one mindset disruptor. And today we're disrupting how you think about grief, loss, and connection. Because if your mindset around loss is broken, your healing stays delayed. For some of us, we just kind of avoid it altogether and it keeps you stuck. And I don't want you to continue without the knowledge to empower yourself to really and truly step into another level of your healing. Today's guest is Ms. Barbra Banner. And let me tell you, this is not your typical story. She spent over 35 years in crisis environments, women's hotlines, ER trauma, and even working alongside police and at the time, she thought she was just helping people. Turns out, she was being trained. Now she is a certified psychic, Evidential, and Trance Medium, working with organizations like Helping Parents Heal and Mark Ireland's Certified Mediums Network. And what makes her different, she blends grief support, mental health awareness, spiritual connection, and some good old-fashioned humor. Yes, humor in grief. Stay with us. I promise you, I'm all about this life too. Here, recent appearance, she was on Next Level Soul, pulled over 350,000 views in 30 days. So clearly, people are listening, and we are so glad and honored to have Ms. Barbra Banner here with us. Barbara, welcome to Mindset Mastery Moments. And I know I said a lot about your work, but in your own words, tell us who you are, what you do, and exactly why you do it.
Well, I do it because that is my purpose in life, and I didn't find that one out till much, much later. It came to me within a week in the pandemic. My house turned into like a paranormal storm. Things were flying off the shelves, lights were flashing, fans going off simultaneously in several rooms, and orbs all over a video I just shot. And I didn't see them when I was doing it. I just said, wow. And I wasn't afraid because I'd always been interested in stuff, since I was like 13, different mediums and things like that. So I thought, wow, they're calling me. Okay. And me, I better answer because if they can do this, I don't want to see any more like that. So I took a class and within 7 months I hung a shingle. And later I found out that it is in my bloodline.
Mm.
I went to ask my mom and tell her, it was during the pandemic. I said, Mom, I got to tell you something. And she was almost 104. I'm talking to Dad now. Okay. I'm a medium now. And I thought it was going to push her right over the edge. Okay. Because That's where she really wanted to go. But she goes, your grandmother used to take me to psychics and fortune tellers and tea leaf readers. And she was so into it, and she had it herself. She had people like lined up to get her opinion on things.
Oh.
I said, Mom, you're almost 104. When were you going to tell me? I mean, she was really cutting it close.
Mhm.
You know, I found out
That's
then, and I wouldn't have. If this didn't happen this way, I would have never known my grandmother
wow.
was
Wow.
had the juju.
She had the juju. And so many of us do. It's just no one the information didn't pass down. And so someone I met was in my office a few years ago, almost a decade ago, and she told me about my grandma, and it made sense. Not my great grandmother. So apparently, then I had another guest on the show where there is a presence with me, that may be that of a great grandma, and turns out the says I look like her, which I've actually encountered these moments in my journey, like driving down the road and just sad and heartbroken, and looking in my window, the rear view window of my car, and they're in the back seat,
Seeing her.
and just encouraging me. And this happened way before I had the guest on my show that said, yeah, standing right next to you, and it was just giving information about the kids I miscarried and everything I already knew because I met them in the kids I miscarried, I met them in a visual exercise that I was doing more like hypnosis because I'm also I practice hypnosis, but only on myself. I'm certified and licensed, but I haven't hypnotized anyone because I'm not in practice of it. But I literally got certified to do myself, which is not all the way out as much as I feel like I would be better hypnotized if when I'm being hypnotized by someone versus myself. But I do a fairly good job to helps me with my healing level. So yeah, we have that ancestry because a lot of I feel like our ancestors and the old world, I would say, older age, they followed more spiritual guidances for their existence than we do today. A lot of
And they
our
didn't talk
world is
about it.
they didn't.
Several centuries ago, if you said, "Well, I think I'm a witch," you're at barbecue that night, okay? That's
Yes, they're
not
putting you on the cross to get you
yeah, so people
delivered.
hit it. They hit it. And everybody has the ability to do this. It is in our souls, okay? People say, what tools do you need in your tool chest? You need a soul, okay? So just don't you're ready. You just gotta work on it. You have to practice, and you have to
Welcome.
understand it.
Yes.
And then you too can
Yes.
do it. And I do teach at the end of my sessions with clients, I do an exercise that shows them that spirit is with them, and you've just had a communication with them that you don't know, and you can keep it going. So that's a fun thing that I do that gives people hope, makes them say,
Yes.
he really,
You're not making them dependent on just being with you to have the clarity and the
I
things
want
that they need
everybody
to
to be
heal.
able to do that. What a joy for everybody.
Exactly. Let's go straight there because, like I said, you shared with us your story started with the crystals. It didn't actually start with crystals and candles and all that. It started with the stuff in your living room in 2020, right? And basically saying, yeah, you're not ignoring us anymore. So what actually happened? Like once you said yes, what was that like for you? Yeah, you shared with us that you went and got the class, but what was the feeling for you? And what were you able to tap into that now delivered the help and healing that so many people do come to you for?
Well, on my first class, I had never even, I took a class with Suzanne Giesman, who was the perfect choice. I never even meditated before. How do you meditate? What do you mean go
Wow.
to a meditation? I was a newbie. I was fresh off the hay truck when it came to spirituality. And I hit the ground running. I just did it. And the next night I brought my father in. Like the first practice I did, I locked myself in a closet and turned the light off because I didn't want my husband to really know what I was doing. So,
Yeah.
and I just said to myself, I said, this is easy. I like this. And it just like that. It just went so fast. And I loved the reaction, and I loved people. Their whole demeanor changed after they were given evidence and validations of what they thought and what only their loved one knew, that can't make this stuff up.
You
Okay, you're
can't
gonna use
make this
that
stuff up.
later. You can use this. You have my permission to use it everywhere. It was so wonderful for me, and being a humorous person myself, and I realized my guides were also very funny. They've pulled some real stuff on me and given me things that are hilarious. And it just brings the vibration up, okay? We meet, spirit has to lower their vibration, and we have to raise ours to meet in the middle, okay? So if you've got a client who's really low vibration, and it can make it more difficult for spirit to get through. So I
Mhm.
always if a little humor works and is seamless, I like to bring it in. And what's wrong with wanting someone to smile or to laugh?
Exactly.
I mean, what we're doing may seem crazy, like we're living in Alice in Wonderland. So
Yes.
so enjoy it. Find joy in something that you might feel is a little kooky or a little woo-woo. But
Right.
if it's making you feel better. And by the way, laughter there's been so many studies on it from Berkeley
Mhm.
to Cambridge to
Harvard, yeah.
yeah, it raises your dopamine. It releases dopamine. It releases
Yes.
serotonin. And
Dopamine. Tonin.
yeah, and serotonin. And those are those are the body's own mood elevators
Yes. They're injectors, they're hormones that are so
and
needed.
pain. They interrupt pain. So what I
Mhm.
say is keep laughter in your life, and when you're feeling really down, go watch a movie, a funny movie that your loved one watched. If you can't sleep at 3 in the morning, go watch Spy with Melissa McCarthy. I recommend it highly for some good laughs, okay? If you
Love
like
Melissa. Listen, anything with Melissa, you got me. I
anything,
am
okay?
there.
Just hello, I'm on the floor. Oh,
Just a look, she was on Saturday Night Live
I know.
lately, and I'm like, "My God, it's not
Yes.
gonna end." 'Cause she comes in, she just
She'll
has to
do
do that,
anything.
and I'm laughing.
I know. Anyway, that was her best movie, by the way. I don't wanna get off on a tangent here, but
Oh my
Spy.
goodness. Oh
Okay.
my gosh. So I'm laughing. I'm also laughing at you because I'm like, so spirit was probably trying to subtly tell you things. You didn't listen. So now they're like, okay, we got to get your attention. You got stuff to do. We're throwing this furniture.
Exactly. I feel that they put me on ice until later in my later years, and then they
Yes.
decided to reactivate me. "Okay, she's
Right.
cooked. Let's bring her out. There's a lot of people who need mediums now, and spirituality is
Right.
fading." And they took me out of the deep freeze, and I
Yeah,
was
and
ready.
when I listen to your background, working crime scenes, working in women's shelters, was that before you
Yes, it was
said
it was
yes? Okay.
and working on the city's crisis response team was during right after the pandemic too, because we had to stop it a little because of
Mhm.
safety reasons.
Mhm.
But, yeah, but I didn't use any of my my mediumship
Yes.
on a scene.
Right, but you were around. Yeah, okay. But that sort of, I feel like everything adds up in our life, and that's one of the big themes of our show is, even though, like you said, later in life, you said yes to this part of your purpose, or that's when it came to you. But do you find that you have like a journey that literally brought you here anyway? Like, to be saying yes, to be in the moment?
Well, it wasn't till after I became a medium that someone just, like, looked at my resume or, my volunteering, and they said, "You were divinely guided to do these 3 things. You needed these to be the
Here.
medium you are, who can help them
Yes.
on an emotional, psychological level and know ab." I said, "By George, I think you're right." I never
That's what
even
I think.
looked at it like that. It was a
That's
oh,
what I think, and I
yeah.
love bringing this up because look at it. I mean, when I talk, bigger theme is purpose, and a lot of times we feel so like, because we left one career or changed careers, it's something like, oh my God, it's this catastrophic, or we got let go from our dream job after being there for 10 years or 10 months, whatever. you're all divinely guided, is what I say. And trust the process and say, okay, I grieve, I'm hurting because I lost that. Yes, that's necessary for you. But don't waste a whole lot of time, because what's next for you, it all adds up to
Is
that
your
journey.
next purpose. There's not just one purpose
One
in life.
purpose.
When I was for 35 years, I was in advertising and marketing. I loved it. I was my purpose in life. And then I
That's
said,
right.
okay, I'm aging out of this one, because they changed the name of copywriter to content creator. I said,
Creator.
if they say I don't have a name anymore, I'm out of here. Uh, this I just slid into this as my new purpose in life, and I knew it within minutes
Yeah.
of me bringing my father forward. I just couldn't believe that I could do it. And that was really with like one day of class from Suzanne Giesman. So it just tapped into me, and I heard that people do this. They don't bring you out to do this until your soul is ready.
I
So
agree.
let them be
I
the judge.
agree. And in my own personal belief is, if you didn't hit it this lifetime, you just come back. That's just my belief. And you can
Well,
share
they
yours.
say if you don't learn the lessons you're supposed to learn this time, it's like a test, and you have to come back and take the test again. But they've erased our minds, so
You don't
we
remember.
say,
You've been working on it.
they say, why don't you just tell us and we'll do better? And Dolores Cannon said, if you know the questions, it's not a test.
Test.
So
It's
we just
regurgitation.
and see how we do next time, and maybe some of the good stuff that we didn't come up with is going to jump
And
forward.
that's why I believe there's no coincidence now, because even though you don't remember, it's all lining up.
All
And
in
you're
your
like, it's imprint. And that's why now when it's happening, some of it you're like, why does this feel like I already knew that?
that deja
Like,
vu kind of thing, because you're
yes.
remembering. It's not something new or you're making up. You're remembering.
Yeah. And we're taught not to trust that memory.
That's the
Talk to
word.
us
That's
about
the
that.
word. Buzz on that word. It's doing anything spiritual is all about trust, as far as I'm concerned. Because if you don't trust it, we all grew up saying seeing is believing. Okay, not in this gig. Okay, it's believing is seeing.
It's
Because
seeing.
if you don't believe it, you're not going to see it. It's just going to go
Exactly.
right over you. And
And
so
it's
many
funny, all the
people.
good spiritual books teach us that. No matter what you believe, any spiritual book you read, the Bible, the Bhagavad Gita, the Quran, whatever, all the other ones that I don't know because I was only raised very much aware, they all say the same thing when it comes to that.
You have to trust it, and it's very hard. That was the hardest thing for me to move forward as a medium, trust, because there were things that I had in my mind that I wanted to say to the client when I was starting out, but I was afraid of being wrong. And now it's like, I don't care if I say something you don't understand, let me know and I'll go check with my guides. And I could have, put the wrong word in there, but I have to trust and say things. And if they think I'm not going to, they're going to say it for me. I had a woman, a grandmother spirit, and her granddaughter was the client. And all of a sudden, the grandmother said, and if you need money, you better go do phone sex. And I said, I didn't say that. I don't even know how that came out of my mouth, okay, from this grandmother in spirit. And the girl is laughing her little butt off. And she goes, that's been a running joke with my husband and I for years. And just the other night, I said, that chair is looking shabby. I want a new chair. He goes, if you want a new chair, you better do some phone sex. So we just said it last night, and it's a running joke. Now,
You
normally,
can't make this stuff up.
this stuff up. We're going to be saying that 30 times today.
This one, yeah.
So, and I just said it. Spirit just made me say it. So I have to trust, because they cannot
Yeah.
make a mistake. We can,
Right.
because we're
We
human.
can, because we're humans.
But
Yeah.
if we give out what they give us exactly, it's going to be right. And if we keep our head out of it, having your head in the game is disaster, because it
And yeah, and so I want you to describe what a medium is, because I may not be a medium that I call myself. I think you're trained and certified and practicing, but I do function at times. And I get info and downloads, and I'm talking to you and I'm like, blah, blah, blah. I'm giving you directives, right? And this happens, and it doesn't, I'm a coach, right? I'm a coach, trained a therapist, but not licensed. But I'm a coach and I function and I'm coaching people in life, career, business, and relationships. And so when I'm sitting there, I just feel like all those titles are weird, because when I'm sitting with you as a human, you're human, and everything that concerns you is your life, your career, your business, whatever you want to call it. It's all life. So I'm sitting there and then I'm like listening, and then I'm like, what happened when you were 4?
You're
Okay.
psychic.
Okay, that's what that is.
All mediums are psychic, but not all psychics are mediums. So you are psychic, and a couple of classes with Suzanne Geistman, you'll be a medium too.
So recently, and I have to bring this up, just a few nights ago, I was talking to a young woman and I was like, what was that? And I was telling her, I'm like, your grandma is watching you. She's right here, right now, standing right beside me. And she's telling you that everything that you've done great. You've actually made all the best choices you could. And every time you push through and advocated for yourself and the fact that you're here right now, if you follow everything that's in front of you and it's giving you a direction, you're going to be fine. And that she's right there with you. And she's very, very proud of you. And it's
That's
funny
what a
because
medium would say.
someone came up behind me and started pretending. And the poor kiddo is crying. I'm like, you goofball, stop that. Because they could hear the conversation. And it's funny, but we laughed. And she just leaned into me. And I don't know what happened when she leaned into me. And then I let her go. I don't know. But she
So you
said that she felt like, and I don't care to sign up to be a medium because that's just too much work in my
so
head.
much
That's
work.
what I,
But you got to put a lot into it.
yes. And like, I was like, but I guess it comes up when I need to. So tell us about that, because there's someone listening, they're like, that's happened to me too. And I can't make this stuff up, but I think I'm crazy. And I tell you when he thinks I'm crazy. Talk to that
Well,
person.
people say, I think I imagined it. Well,
Mm,
imagination is how we communicate.
and our
We
psychic.
talk about what's in our head, but it just flows through. So don't be afraid of thinking that something's true if it's in your imagination, because how else are you going to see it? We just seem to, it's hard. Sometimes it's hard to believe what we're thinking or seeing, because it's not normal for us, or it's something that you don't even know about, or it's coming in, sideways. But what if you do believe? What if you just say, you know what if I say, okay, I'll go with that? What
Mm-hmm.
do you have to lose? At some point, we just have to lose our ego, a medium. Like,
That's
okay, if
what
we're
you need to
wrong,
lose. Yeah.
we're wrong. Okay, what are you going to do to me? Doing the best I can here. Okay. So you just have to be open and say, what the hell? Just going to say it because this is what's in my head. And you'll be surprised how many people say, yes, that did happen to me last night. Or, how did you know? And once you start getting reinforcement, then you'll start believing more. And that's what I try to do with clients, is let them know that they've got it too. And that
Right.
if they trust what is coming through. And I always say, look, if you meditate is the base. It's like you're going to have a hard time being, psychic or anything unless you meditate. That's just how I feel, because you have to learn how to get rid of all the clutter in your brain. You have to clear it out so that
Mm-hmm.
you can listen to the other side, so that you can feel
Mm-hmm.
they're giving you and listen and repeat it. So we all
And that
we all
just makes your own life so much more simple. I don't use the word easier because that
life
could
is
be
not
given
easy.
easy. Right, right. But simple meaning. So for me, I agree with everything you said, because what it is when I'm sitting with a client, I'm so present, and I do practice meditation and stillness. I don't even get my schedule. I have one of the most interesting schedules
Sure you.
in my life. And I am like, some days I'm like, what are you? I don't even say who, I say what, because it's like, what's going on? And it's organized and it's not chaotic, but it's a lot of a lot of. But what it is, how do I get people say, how do you do it? I'm present with where I'm at. And I also, you said one big part, you said two things. One, if we can just let go of our ego. Number two, and if we could just believe before we see, not seeing is believing. And then you added the other one where we just simply submit to the time and space of being meditating and being with ourselves and letting our thoughts be what they are and just work with them.
Right.
That's I feel like more and more in my life as I get older, I don't care what people think. The more I do that, the more I get these downloads, the more I'm guided, the more I'm able to help, more people I'm able to help. So when I'm with you, I'm like, okay, so everything about me and all the things I think I know, I just release that and I'm present with you. I'm listening and I'm listening to you and everything that's happening, I'm just here. So, with that being said, I believe that's why information comes up. I believe
Definitely.
that's why I can be used to bring info that I
Right.
don't have in my own head.
Because it's harder to come if you're to come into you if you've got a million things going on in your brain and you're thinking of this and I got to go pick up something from the bakery. You know, you need to you have to listen to hear. You know, you just have to be open to doing that, and then your life can change. I mean, you can. I feel like it's like finding peace because once you believe that things are not just a coincidence, okay? That we don't have coincidences in my life. They're all synchronicities and they're all meant to happen at that time for whatever reason. And we don't know. I tell clients, I said, look, I know you can't understand right now why you feel God would take a 6-year-old boy away from you. But I promise you, there's the universe isn't doing something to you, it's doing something for you, and you will find out when the time is right. I always say there's a whiteboard, you know, when you cross over and it tells all the things you wanted to know. How could this happen to me? It's all going to come clear, but you just have to trust and have faith. And if you do, it makes things easier. When people find out that they signed up for this, okay, we do have like soul contracts and pre-life plans. And we're just trying to come to this lifetime, this incarnation to grow and expand and evolve our soul and learn lessons, you know, like help other people and don't just be selfish and do this. And so we're here for lessons and they've been all worked out before we got here. You may get some lessons that are really difficult and like losing a loved one is probably the biggest one. But it
Right.
make all the things that happen to us make us who we are today and who you'll be, you know, on the other side too. So it's all about trust and faith.
Trust and
And I'm
faith.
not even religious. I mean, this all if
Right. This is
people
not
hear me say
religious.
this, it's like, well, what are you talking about? Just because I'm a very cut and dry kind of
Right. And religion is how I really think there's not I think you and I spirituality is not religion and religion is not spirituality. I think religious people practice spirituality, but they have religious beliefs. I think religious beliefs is like religion is like what color dress am I going to wear? Or maybe where do I choose to eat dinner every I don't know what you call, but it definitely is not spiritual just because it's religious. That's my
definitely.
connotation. And you people can that's mine. It's not necessarily Barbara's. Maybe it is, but I'm just telling y'all on this show, we are talking to people's souls and we are taking who you are. We want you to be in touch with the highest version of yourself,
Exactly.
clearing, becoming spiritually aware, connecting with your purpose, and living that out as the best you can with the shot you got. That's my goal.
Absolutely. And people ask me, I think one of the number one questions people ask me is, what's my purpose in life? And
Mm.
what I tell them is you already know. Your soul knows what your purpose. It knows what your past, what your purpose. And you know it. You just want someone else to say that's right, but you already know it. And I said, it needs to come from you because it's what makes you joyful. What makes you passionate about something. Your purpose in life is not going to be, digging ditches, okay, in the jungle. And you're not going to like that. I promise you. You get bug bites, everything. So that's not it. But you will know what it is, what gives you joy. And that's your purpose. For now, you may get bored with it or you may evolve to something else, but you know what your purpose is. And they all end up saying, yeah, I think I do. I think I know what I really would like to do. Only once, I think I said, a woman said, I need to know my purpose in life. And out of my mouth, and said, I think you should go to Africa and work on a game preserve for elephants. And she looked at me and she said, that's exactly what I wanted to do. And I said it to myself yesterday because I was in a reading with her and I had her father. I said, I don't usually say anything because you got to come up with it, but your father knew you needed to have a confirmation that was what your soul is saying, is that it would make you happy. But I didn't, how could I come up with that? So it was him. So he talked through me. That's what a medium does. We are the vessels. We just bring what spirit gives us to you. But one of my men said, Barbara, nobody's coming to your reading to hear what you have to say. Okay. They're not interested. All right. You're just the vessel. I said, okay. So I just try to be the reporter and it works out okay.
So how does the loved one who's on the other side, how do they know what your maybe soul contract life path is? How are they knowing? What's that connection? If you can, because some things are not all explained. So tell us what your understanding is.
We are kept sort of in the dark here, but when you go home, which is what we'll call heaven, okay? When you are on the other side, you know all of this. Everything is in the Akashic records. You just know everything. But when you come back down, you're erased again. So it's like you're starting from scratch. And hopefully what you learned in the last lifetime is going to help you go to the next step. Did I answer the question? I forgot what it was.
It did. You certainly did. Because that's what skeptics want to know. It's like, how do they know if they're dead?
Spirit knows everything, okay? They are beings of energy and light, and everybody knows everything. They know what you're thinking. They know what you're feeling. They're not interested in anything physical, okay? They are not in the bedroom when you're having a good time, okay? That's not what they do. The veil comes down, they're on to something else, okay? So they only care about your soul development.
Tell us about spirit guides. Does everyone have a spirit guide, spirit guides? What's that concept?
Everyone has spirit guides, okay? And some of them are with you from birth, from this birth and this life and all your lives. And they come and go, except the ones that are like permanent, because as your life increases, when you're 4 years old, you don't need a love relationship guide, okay? You get what you need. So they come in and help you, and then somebody else may come in and take on something else that you need help with. And the angels, they have it all worked out. Okay, we get who we need. I always tell clients, spirit is going to get you what you need to know today. It is not here to tell you what you want to know today. If the two collide and they're together, that's great. But when people come in and say, I have a code word with my husband, I said, if you go say this word, I said, they're not really interested in that, but sometimes they'll just say it. I'll just be talking and I'll like the Groucho Marx thing where, say the magic word, the duck comes down or something.
Yes.
It's like sometimes I'll just be talking and they'll say that was the code word or that was his name. So we don't know. I just know that if it's meant for them, and people say, what color was my pajamas 2 days ago? I don't know.
Hey,
Spirit knows you have that question in your mind. Just understand
Mine.
that. And many times they will give it to you. Um, and I just leave it to them. I had a woman who said, "You told me my husband is around me all the time." And she always was testing me. And she said, "I haven't felt him or heard him or any signs for 6 months. I think he might be with another woman." Okay. So she was freaking out. Seriously. And I said,
She thinks her spiritual husband who's passed is cheating on her.
"Yes, is
This guy
cheating."
must
And she said,
can't
"If
make
he
this stuff up.
can, if he's really here, he's going to know what TV show I watched during the pandemic." Now I turned white, like, how am I gonna, it's like, because my human mind got in. But the husband
Like,
just said, "It's Outlander." And she said, "It's Outlander." So the thing is, she said, "You have no idea how much better you made me feel to know that I don't have to feel him all the time. He doesn't have to be, tapping me on the head all day for me to know he's around, because he was with me, obviously, and he knows exactly what I was doing."
okay, now, since in that realm, are they only one place at a time? Is what
No, no, no. Their It's their awareness, from what I gather. And we can be living parallel lives at different times as well going on. And they can be in so many places and with different lives going on. And they're always of 100% available to
when
know.
you need them.
They're aware of us like all the time.
And that's another episode to talk about the parallel lives because
Well, there's
me
other.
and my partner have been talking about that and timelines because we are those people. Y'all judge us if you want to. Here's the thing. So, talk about specifically how you work with people when you're approached with grief. And then, if you want to use me as a muse, we can do that too for a simple. Like, what's your mission and how you serve individuals who are grieving?
Well, the first thing I do is I ask them, who would you like to see? Who would you like to connect with? Most of the time, people just say, "Let's just see who comes." But I find if it's somebody that you didn't know very well, then you're wasting a lot of time. And I know that may have a message for you. But if your husband passed 6 months ago, that's who you want to talk to. And once I describe what they look like and their essence and their personality, and they know, oh, that's him, yeah, he had he was missing a thumb or something. So once they know, then spirit just gives me information about him, and I just pass it along. I have a trance mentor who's really wonderful, Nico, and he said, just be a reporter. It's just like, wait till they give it to you. They don't like to be pressured, like mediums don't like the pressure of, well, what's this, and they don't like. Spirit runs the show. We are here to serve spirit and not the client. And
Client.
sometimes they feel like, honey, these are things I need to do. Now, I do give people, I do a Q&A session during the reading. And I
Mhm.
like to hijack the first question because I don't want to know what it is. That way my mind can't get involved. And I'll tell you one of my favorite funny ones. I brought in this, maybe she's like 25 or 26-year-old, and her father was the spirit. So they like to, I said, just ask him a question, in this box, and I'll tell you what he shows me. So they like to have a prop. So anyway, a lot of times it's a boat in a crystal clear lake. So I said, you're in the front to the girl and you're rowing, and your dad is in the back and it's just a little dinghy, and he's rowing and he's, making some changes so you don't like run into the pilings or something. And I said,
Mhm.
but there's a man between you. And now your father's standing up, grabs him by the scruff of the neck and the shoulder, and he throws him overboard. And he said, let's go. We're not picking him up. And so I said, what was your question? She said, how do you like my new boyfriend? That's the kind of funny stuff I get. They make it funny. I mean, there's a million ways to
Yes.
know, okay? I
Yes.
don't like them.
That's so funny. Oh my goodness. You can't make this stuff up.
And
So
if
Uh-huh.
If they're funny here, if her father had a great sense of humor, they'll show it there. They'll show
Yeah.
it in their answers, how they show me things. And I just report her on the go.
So that's how people shift from the pain to connection. That's awesome. So if someone's working with you, what mindset shift needs to change so that they can benefit from working with you and being able to make these connections with their loved ones?
On their own. Well, I send everybody who books a packet, and it has like what to expect in a reading and how to prepare, and then it has a page of resources how to connect on your own,
Mhm.
and then it has a little maybe 4 or 5 page thing about the afterlife. So I
Mm.
want to set the
Set a
scene
pace.
so that if they read it, which they're supposed to, they'll have a they'll be open a little, but the more information a client has about the afterlife or what happens, the better a reading can be because they will have more belief. They'll have more
Mhm.
trust if they hear it from, you know, all the everyone. They can go on YouTube and just listen to NDEs, near death experiences, or a podcast about mediumship, or different things that they wonder about, so that if they hear it from somebody who looks really normal, and who's not running through the scene in a straitjacket, they might believe it, and say, well, she's a scientist and she didn't believe before she had a near death experience. And everybody's saying the same thing. How can everyone experiences it differently, but there's the common
But
threads. So, and
the
nobody
same
wants to
threads, yeah.
come back to earth. Nobody says, I think I don't want to stay in this absolutely perfect place with people I love and it's everything I want at my fingertips. I think I want to go back to earth. I got a pile of bills to pay, and my daughter is causing me such grief, and I think I'm losing my job. Nobody wants to stay, okay? And if they're sent back because it's not their time, they are usually pissed.
Yeah, that's what I heard because I've
They're pissed.
watched and read about a lot of near deaths, and it's like initially it's like, "What the heck? Am I being punished for something here?"
Can help you be not, help you release any fear you have about passing.
Exactly.
It's all
I
good.
tell people that is not the worst thing that can happen to you. It's the next thing that you get to
Love that.
experience. I say, well, I ask, what is the worst thing that can happen to you? Because I'm talking to teenagers who are rebellious and leaving the home and gone for days with a boyfriend or something. And I'm like, you know, uh, they're like, but it's like, what can happen to you? I could die. I'm like, that's not the worst thing that can happen to you. They're like, what do you mean? I'm like, think about it. Are you here? Where are you? What are you doing when you're not here? And they're like, "You're right." I'm like, "I think one of the worst things is being injured, harmed, lost a part of your body or parts of your soul being violated by someone you didn't want to be with or something like that, and then have to recover from that is one of the worst things I think that can happen to you." And they're like,
Trauma. Yeah.
"Yeah, you're right. If you want to do a moment with me or not, or we can do that at another time, I would love to do a practical exercise with you if there was an
Well,
exercise
I
you
I
felt
can
comfortable."
do the exercise I do with my clients and show you some of the results, which is incredible, and it's something everybody can do. You don't need anybody. It's just you.
Okay.
So, I'm going to count to 3, and then you're gonna write down or say the first item or thing that comes into your head. 1, 2, 3. What is it, Alisa? The first thing. Don't think about
This
it.
book?
A book. Okay? You didn't think about anything before a book.
No, that's
Okay.
the first thing, and I even picked it up.
Okay, so the book was in front of you, so you do that. So, your loved one, um, put a book in your head, because in the next week or so, you are gonna have some kind of a facsimile of a book, or you'll just know, "Oh my god," you know, my grandfather gave me that. That's what, that's why he put that book in my head, because he knew where and when I would have that oh my God moment. That's the book they're talking about. It's not like you can go into a bookstore and say, I found a book. It is unexpected. You have no idea. And you'll know. So that is something when it works, Now, if you wait more than 3 seconds, your critical mind's going to get in there and
start thinking.
throw it all
Yeah.
up. Okay. So if somebody's at home and they couldn't come up with something, do a little later, just
Okay.
count to 3 and whatever comes in. So these
Okay.
are some things that happen. Another host, she said, an elephant. And a few days later, she said, well, I don't know why I said elephant. She sends me this picture. She went to a mini golf with her son, and look what was on the hole, a giant
golf course.
elephant.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, she was not expecting that at all. That is
Not at
something
all.
that her father knew they were going to go there. Okay. I had a woman whose son said, who had a son, and she said, baseball cap. And she said, I hate baseball. I don't even know why I said that. So she sends me this picture. She said, before my son passed, we'd asked him, what's a good restaurant in like Cabo so your dad and I can go? And he passed. And then she went on the website after we met, and she said, look what was one of the photos on the website. The whole ceiling of this restaurant that he gave her is filled
baseball hats.
with baseball.
That's crazy.
That's the kind of crazy stuff that you can get, that you and some of it is heartwarming, and can make you cry. A woman who lost her son, who was, in his 20s, she said a blanket, and she thought, well, that's stupid. Now, mind you, you could just be at a red
That's what I was thinking, because book came up, and then because book came up, I grabbed my book, because I'm like, I'm going to write down what she says. But book came up, and I looked over, and there was a book.
It was the book, I'm sure. But it could be a car in front of you that you can't see, and then they move ahead when the green light, and their license plate says blanket. Okay, it can be anything or anywhere that has to do with what you said. Anyway, she's in the kitchen frosting a cake. Her back is to the doorway that goes into the kitchen, and she turns around, and her son's blanket is on the floor, and the little dog. And she doesn't know how it got there because she yelled for her husband. Did you bring the blanket in here? He says, I'm in the shower. Leave me alone. He said the dog was on the bed with the blanket. So her son
in the kitchen.
Got in touch with the doggy and said, bring this to mom. I got chills when I did.
And so this is how you know that your loved one is
talking to you. They can put things in our head. They are part of our intuition, I believe. And I also believe when you ask them a question, if you need to know something, that the first thing that pops into your head is probably the answer, because they put things right in there. They want to help us. They want to be part of your lives, and this little exercise is something you can do every week. You can bring your kids in. Okay, Grandpa is going to put something in your head. 1, 2, 3. What is it? And the kids can get involved. It could be a family thing. And do you know how exciting it'll be when one of them comes back, or you show them what, take a picture. You show them where you saw this thing that you said. It's a start, it's a baby step. Because you feel like I just had a conversation.
Yes.
Grandpa. Because he told me something and I heard it.
And that's the healing in it all. Well, Barbara, what is your favorite way for our listeners and viewers to connect with you?
Bannermedium.com. They can connect with one of my, TikTok or Instagram and see lots of little snippets that I do of interesting, fun things that happen in readings. And you can book a session. You can learn about me and see some testimonials and That's all you need is my website.
Yes, and we will have that link in the description. Barbra, what an enlightening conversation. I really appreciate you and the way you're serving humanity and connecting us with our loved ones and even parts of ourselves that we didn't know exists. This has been such a delightful conversation. We'd love to have you back in the future. Yeah, we'll definitely make sure to that. And Disruptor, listen, here's what I want you to understand. Whether you believe in mediumship or not, the real conversation today was about you're not alone, your healing is not over, and your mindset determines how you process both. Just listen. You don't have to believe everything, but you should at least be open enough to ask better questions. I'm Dr. Alisa Whyte with my dear new friend here, Barbra, saying we will see you on the next episode of Mindset Master Moments. Bye now. Thank you.